Truck blockade on the N3 has inflicted millions of rands of damage on South Africa's economy, and the effects will also be felt beyond our borders. Business groups have warned that the increasing disruptions to vital trade routes in the country is akin to economic sabotage, and government silence on this matter is quite deafening. Well, let's bring in Business Unity South Africa CEO Cas Kuvadia, who joins me this evening to have a discussion around this. Cas, good evening, and thank you so much for your time. Happy New Year to you, or rather, Happy Youth Day. Said New Year to you. Let's talk about this. I mean, we know that 4 people now have been arrested, those who were present at this protest. Is this enough for Busa? Are you satisfied?
Well, look, firstly, I think we've got to welcome the arrests and hopefully they'll be taken through the process quickly and we actually see exactly what's happening, and if there's a prima facie case, they must be charged and prosecuted. So I think we welcome that. At least it does begin to show that the authorities are acting, and hopefully there'll be consequences for the blockade. But this isn't the first blockade. We've had previous blockade in the same vicinity, and we've expressed concern about them time and time again. This is the major arterial in the country, transporting significant amounts of goods. And it just begins to, and not begins to, it actually emphasizes the message that we are not actually handling the law and order issues properly in this country, and it doesn't give confidence to investors. And secondly, it just has a significantly negative impact on the economy. And so what we've called for today is that government needs to treat this as a crisis, needs to put into place the appropriate intelligence so that they are able to pick these things up early and hopefully pick it up before they actually happen with proper intelligence, and proactively preempt these kind of actions, and where they do happen, to very quickly act against the perpetrators and bring them to book.
Yeah, you're iterating just what Jason was updating us on, local authorities saying not only do they, plan on, arresting those who were present at the protest, but the masterminds, the ones who strategize on these protests, actually being, rather pursued now by law enforcement. But I want to get into the reasons behind these protests and what you think intervention should be for truck drivers. They're lamenting the employment of more foreign nationals and also steep, fuel price hikes. How do you think industry in transport can deal with some of these issues so not to lead to these protests that have bigger impacts on the economy?
Well, look, the issue about employing foreigners and so on is a sensitive issue, and I think we need to engage to address the issue. The bottom line is that foreigners are working in this country. We have allowed people to come in some instances without too many controls, and we're sitting with an issue, and we've got to deal with the issue. And by dealing, and I say deal with the issue, we've got to engage the relevant players, engage the relevant stakeholders, and see how we actually bring about some sort of a situation where local people are not displaced, but at the same time, we've got to do this in a way that we don't actually create more chaos and we don't actually discriminate against people. I think that we need to engage the truck drivers on the demands, and government should be doing that. But at the same time, we need to actually be absolutely clear that no matter what your demands and your grievances, you cannot break the law. You cannot bring the economy to a standstill at a time when we're actually trying to grow the economy and create jobs. This actually goes contrary to job creation, whether it's for South Africans or for foreigners. It goes totally contrary to what the protesters and the people who are responsible for this seem to be saying. They're saying we should be having more jobs for South Africans. Well, we can't create jobs if the economy comes to a standstill. So it's a complex issue, nobody's denying that. But I think there are some areas that we've got to draw a line in the sand. One, you can't conduct your protest in a way that's actually inconveniences others, violates the rights of others, and creates serious problems in the economy. Secondly, you can't do this in a way that actually provokes or encourages any sort of violence or incidents of that sort. And thirdly, I think that the other line in the sand has got to be that government needs to engage all stakeholders, but engage them in a way that we try to find solutions and not actually create bigger problems.
Yeah. Just in my last question to you, why do you think this has delayed so far? Because, I mean, we know this is not the first time these blockades occur, especially on this route. They occur quite frequently. And the president also instructed a panel headed by Employment and Labour Minister Thulasini Nxesi, to address all truck drivers' foundations around this, right? Because it's not only in the Van Dalen's Pass. We've also seen blockages on the N3 route near the roadside and Reeds interchange between Warden and Villiers in the Central Free State province as well. Why do you think the delay? Because I think at this point, the fear is that they will continue to occur should the president not act decisively.
Look, I don't know why the delay. We're obviously not involved in those discussions, and that's a question to put to the government. But the delay is extremely worrying, and that's why we're calling on the president to actually intervene. President has got to pull together the necessary resources and capacity to deal with this urgently, to speak to whoever needs to be spoken to, and to put into place mechanisms to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
All right, we'll leave it then. I appreciate you adding your voice to this conversation. Cass Kuvadia joining us, CEO to Busa, around the blockages that we've seen by truck drivers on the N3. And we know that, of course, 4 people have been arrested, but law enforcement saying they're also looking to arrest the masterminds and those who are strategizing behind these protests.